We've had 2 Lamborghinis and then the Aston Martin AMR.
Yeah, so far we've had the Lamborghini Aventador S, which posted a time of 54.44. A little bit quicker than a Ford GT, which is 54.54 seconds. Porsche's 911 Turbo S has just taken to the hill now, and there's Aston Martin on the way. That's gone up 57.83. So Lamborghini's Aventador S is so far the quickest thing on the way through. But this 911 will be very fast, particularly off the line.
It will, Matt. And there's more than pride involved, isn't there?
I think there probably is, actually, yeah. A lot of these drivers will have their pride involved, but the manufacturers will be encouraging them to go as quickly as they can, because there is something at stake.
So probably they put their quickest works driver in the car.
Yeah.
So there's even more pride involved.
Indeed,
driver and car.
Yeah, driver and manufacturer too. We've seen some cars go quickly up already this weekend as the drivers have been getting their eyes in. I think the track, some drivers say, is getting a bit faster as A, it's getting a bit warmer, B, a bit of rubber is going on.
Time will be coming up any second now. Pagani Zondo takes off the line. Hugely fast car.
Yeah, this is one of the very last Zondas. This is the RS. So they did a track version, and then they said that was going to be the ultimate Zonda. And then a few people said, actually, what we'd really like is this track version, but actually road legal. So it's become road legal again, but it's incredibly fast, exquisitely built.
And 750 horsepower should take it up the hill with a competitive time.
Absolutely. Time for the Porsche 911 has appeared. It's 53.31. So over a second faster than the Aventador.
So Porsche Turbo leading the way. Can the Zonda threaten it? Nearing the top of the hill.
Actually, that Aventador's time has reverted to demo, so I don't know if that was a real time or not for that car.
Okay, Pagani. Time coming up soon. It's good that only one car's on the hill at the time. Gives us a chance to have a good look both on the screen and in real life. Maserati. Gran Turismo. V8 powered. Not as expensive as the real exotics like the Pagani and other hypercars.
No, and you wouldn't, it's Maserati's sort of staple Grand Tourer. You would not expect it necessarily to trouble the front of the order, but it is being driven very quickly.
You don't go around Moulcombe quicker than that.
No, you do not.
You don't leave your braking later
You
than
don't go into Moulcombe quicker than that unless you don't want to come out of it.
Brilliant. Our hearts were in our mouths, but didn't need to be. Excellent driving. Nice V8 sound, and over the finishing line. Time will come up any minute now. Don't think it'll threaten the Porsche Turbo.
I doubt it. I doubt it. That Porsche is something else, isn't it? But the Zonda's time appears 57.04, so that's a few seconds away as the Zenvo, the Danish supercar, takes to the course. This is an interesting car. They are plenty of power.
Don't they develop their own engine?
They develop their own engine, which for a tiny company is an incredibly brave thing to do. So it has their own flat plane crank, 5.9 litre twin supercharged V8.
Wow, and lovely. We've got times on the screen, so let's see how the Zenvo.
That's loud, isn't it?
Matt, how many do you think they've made? 3 or 4 or more?
Yeah, I think it's just a literal handful of them. They've got a slightly more road biased version, and this, which is a slightly more track biased version of them. But yeah, they are built, literally in the numbers that you can count on one hand every year.
Plenty of aerodynamics to glue it to their own big rear wing. Didn't stop the clock, but it was about 52.
It looked like, yeah, it looked to me like it would have been fastest at late 52s.
This is not noisy, and there's a reason for that.
No, it's got loads of power. One of the most, I think, the most powerful thing we've seen so far. It's about 1,300 horsepower. It's the Rimac Concept S. It's four-wheel drive, but it's all electric. The cool thing about an electric hypercar, I suppose, like this, is that you can have as much power going to whichever wheel you want to at any time. So if you want maximum traction, you just divide it to, you just give power to the wheel that has the most grip at that time.
I'm told it's 1,384 horsepower.
That's right, yeah.
This one UK registered. Now that's interesting.
It is interesting, isn't it?
So we'll pick up times if we can.
Yeah, we don't get them on the screen, I think, but we will get them. We don't get them live on the screen, but we will get them up here, so we will tell you them when they arrive.
It's red, it's Italian, but it's not a Ferrari. Is this the Italian design?
No, this is the, from the looks of this, it looks like the Noble M600.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It is red, it's not Italian.
It is red, it's from Leicestershire, but it makes a noise that rivals anything from anywhere. I don't know what exhaust they have put on this year, but it is unbelievably loud, and every time the driver lifts off, it just pops and bangs like a gun salute is going on.
Is it a V10?
It's a V8. It's the Yamaha Volvo originally V8, but then it arrives at Noble. They ship it off to a tuner where it gains 2 turbos and an awful lot of power. And they change a lot of the internals, a lot of the externals. It's it would be mean to call it the sort of Yamaha Volvo engine by the time it comes out. It is Noble's V8 engine.
So it's Alberto Solaro driving the Noble. Swiftly off the line, minimum of wheel spin, which is always a good sign.
Yeah. It's a really good car, the M600, really terrific. I mean, a very, very small manufacturing and development outfit, but they have produced a car that I genuinely believe rides, handles and steers in world-class fashion.
So heading for Morecambe, over the brow of the hill, beautifully through Morecambe, superb driving.
Nice and clean, isn't it? Yeah. So far, the 911 Turbo S remains the fastest, 53.31 from the Ford GT, 54.54, with the Bugattis on the 760 RS at 57.04.
Did we get a time for the Rimac yet?
The Rimac time is not on my list as yet. The Zenvo is 58.03. And the Gran Turismo 58.42, so 5 seconds shy of that 911, which was certainly has the advantage off the line because of where the engine is and because it's four-wheel drive and because it's got even more power than a regular 911 Turbo S.
Nissan GTR Nismo, that's a quick car. Four-wheel drive, so rapidly off the line.
Yeah, a complex car, large car, quite a heavy car in the grand scheme of things. But as Lucas Ordeles, the first winner of Nissan's GT Academy, we think, at the wheel, and he's a terrific driver. He came from gaming but has ended up on the podium at Le Mans.
Yep, shared the winning of that with Jan Mardenborough, who's gone on to greater things.
Yeah, they really have discovered some terrific drivers. Darren Cox's idea was that there are people at home gaming, and you know what, they are really good drivers if they got the chance. They've had their 10,000 hours of perfect practice. They've just done it on a games console, not for real. So they went to find real drivers, and by gum, they found some seriously quick drivers. And that GTR Nismo is an incredibly rapid car as well.
So all those complaints from Mum saying, get down for yourself.
You're wasting your time.
You're wasting your time.
Yeah, you won't say that when I'm on the podium at Le Mans.
Exactly. Nicely driven by Ordonez into the top paddock, and this is such an interesting car. This is the Blade Glider.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
It really is. English young engineer Ben Bowlby came to Nissan with this concept of a narrow front track, rear engine, most of the weight over the rear wheels, and most people said it'll never handle properly, but it did. The Delta Wing successfully practiced anyway at Le Mans before it got punted off. Will it ever go into production? Somehow we doubt it, but it's a really interesting electric concept, and Williams have been a great help in developing the electric motors of this car.
Yeah, Williams, their sort of advanced engineering division, they're really into electric power. This has 250 horsepower, 3 seats, very narrow frontal area, which helps it go remarkably rapidly in a straight line, just like the Delta Wing Racer did, didn't it, Chris? It only had what, a 1.6 litre engine, I think,
yeah.
But it's so narrow a frontal area that it really just cleaves through the air very, very cleanly.
Blade Glider top speed 190 kph, gets to 60 in 5 seconds, and here's a radical car.
Yeah, it's the radical RSC. Mind you, as I talk to you, the Nissan GTR Nismo's time has appeared at 52.68 seconds, which is half a second faster than the 911. It goes first. It could well be, though, under pressure from the Radical RXC, because this is a sensational car. Radical R, I believe, there or thereabouts with Porsche as the most prolific makers of sports cars, sports racing cars on the planet. Nobody but Porsche makes more racing cars every year than Radical, and this is effectively Group C car for the road.
Yeah, V6.
Yeah, V6 Ford EcoBoost V6. Again, tweaked, tuned, turbocharged, makes in excess of 500 horsepower. This car is not very heavy. There's loads of aero. It's just a sensational piece of kit. Really great to drive, and actually quite good fun on the road, despite the fact that it is effectively a track racing car.
Is it going to be quickest car? It is, I think.
By miles.
40.83.
If that time is accurate, that is 2 seconds faster than the GTR. But given it is, at its heart, a racing car, maybe that's not surprising.
Now then, here's competition. This is Ollie Webb in the fabulous BAC Mono, and Ollie will not be hanging about. Fastest, his time in practice at Le Mans in the LMP1 car would have been quicker than the Audi LMP1s when they were racing. Ollie is a great race driver. He's development driver for BAC.
Yeah, nobody knows this car as well as him, I think.
No, and they've made 80 of these, and they're selling all over the world now. Time to beat
50.83, which is very, very fast. But if anybody can, at the wheel of this car, Ollie Webb will. God, it's fast,
46, 47, 48. Under
that
50.
Is fast.
Brilliant.
That is fast. Brilliant. Excellent.
49.54, Ollie Webb. Well done.
What a sensational car that is. Talking of race cars for the road, here's another one.
This will be Nicky Faulkner, I think. No, it's John Barnes.
Yeah, John Barnes. He knows how to get the absolute best out of this Caterham. He was very, very sideways earlier. It does move around more than the BAC Mono.
It's got the aerodynamics of a pretty sharp brick, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, its origin started before we understood quite so much about aerodynamics. You could, if you really wanted to, you could trace the Caterham's roots all the way back through the Lotus 7 and then all the way back to Colin Chapman's earliest racing cars when he was racing Austin 7 Specials. Yet the mechanical layout is very similar. The engine's at the front, the driven wheels are at the rear, and you sit between them.
John Barnes into Moulcombe as quick as any. Can he threaten Ollie in the Mono?
Very close, very close.
Wow.
50.01, just outside.
50.01.
That puts the Caterham second, which for a car which has its roots going back as long as it does is unbelievable.
There's our top three: Ollie Webb, John Barnes, Tom Ashton. 49.54, 50.01, 50.83. Audi R8 is, I think, the last of our timed cars.
It looks that way, doesn't it? Yeah, it looks that way, because the Chiron will follow. Again, I wouldn't expect the R8 V10 Plus necessarily to challenge the top of the order.
But Chris Ward, multiple race winner at Goodwood, members meeting and revival. He's a heftily good pedaler.
He's using every inch of
He
the road,
is.
isn't he?
V10 powered, this is the 10-cylinder version. Chris hurls it through Moulcombe, early on the power, will flick it through the flint wall. Inch perfect.
Close to that wall, really close to the wall.
Yeah.
Naturally aspirated V10 in the middle of the R8, making 600 horsepower plus, so it will go across the line at a pace.
On the rev limiter, quick gear change.
That is incredible.
Fourth place, I think.
I did not think you could get an R8 up there that quickly.
No.
That is just a conventional road-going supercar up against some things that are real race-derived, and it has gone that fast. That is incredible.
So there's our podium. Oliver Webb, 49.54. John Barnes, 50.01. And the Caterham. Look at the inch-perfect line through the flint wall, and this, I think, will be Andy Wallace driving the Bugatti Chiron, all 1,500 horsepower of it.
Yeah, I think Andy's at the wheel of that all weekend, this weekend. He's one of the key development drivers for Bugatti. Spends a lot of time in this car, spends a lot of time with customers.
Had a long talk with him yesterday about Chiron, and he confirms that it's a huge development, improvement beyond the Veyron.
Oh, massively. Yeah, massively. Feels like a step and a half beyond, even though, you know, if in layouts you say it's roughly similar. There's an 8-litre W16 engine with 4 turbos, but it's so different to the Veyron that came before it.
But still a pussycat on the road. Granny could drive it to
Yeah,
the shops.
Absolutely. Feels, in a way, because it's part of the Volkswagen group, the ergonomics have to be there. Volkswagen insist that this car has to be sold worldwide, has to meet all the regulations. You have to be able to get in it and drive it normally every day. So it is no harder to drive than a Volkswagen Golf, but it is quite a lot faster.
Past us without on the screen the Ital Design 01, but now BMW, the i8 Hybrid with a little 3-cylinder engine and a big electric motor gives it masses of power.
Yeah.
Selling, I think, like hotcakes.
Yeah, they're doing okay. It's an interesting car. I don't think there's a more interesting car on sale, if you want to put it that way.
But
it's a good GT car to drive. Yeah.
Beautifully equipped inside, comfortable as well as quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a really good GT car, actually. Really enjoyable to drive. Relaxing to drive, calm to drive, but good fun to drive at the same time. And even though, as you say, it only has a 3-cylinder engine in the middle, that's augmented by electric power, so it's very, very quick. And actually, when the Mini engine does kick in, it's a Mini Cooper-derived 3-cylinder motor. When it does kick in, it makes quite a good noise, actually, like a lot of 3-cylinders do.
And on pure electric, 25 miles or so, but going past us and into Morecambe, Project 8 announced this week the 200-mile-an-hour version of the Jaguar XE to be built by Jaguar Special Vehicle Ops at Ryton on Dunsmore. They're going to make 300 of these. They are very confident of selling all 300.
Yeah, I've no doubt they will all sell. They'll all be left-hand drive, just simply because that compact executive platform that is the XE wasn't designed initially to receive the powertrain that it has. So it's got Jaguar's 5-litre V8 in there, supercharged and 4-wheel drive, making 600 horsepower. So I think they will sell out very, very fast indeed.
Another chance to see the Pagani Zonda. I beg its pardon, it's who I can't even pronounce it.
I know, the Huayra, named after a god of wind, if I remember right. What you might see as this brakes, it's got air brakes at the front, at the top of the bodywork. You just see them there. As he slows, you see them moving, then they can move one side or the other to keep the car flat as it approaches corners and brakes into a corner. Really, really clever stuff.
We've missed the Vulcan.
We have. A bit of a shame there's no time on that, actually, but I can see why they might not want to do that when there's only, there's only 24 Vulcans in existence and only one AMR Pro.
This is the development of the standard Vulcan.
Indeed,
you can opt to send your Vulcan back to the factory to be updated. This is the Zagata version of the Aston Vanquish.
Yeah, Aston on a bit of a roll at the minute. They've a recent incumbent boss in Andy Palmer, who used to be at Nissan, and he's come through and he's brought a real impetus and a real drive to it. So when you talk to Aston Martin engineers these days, they're incredibly happy people, they're incredibly motivated people, quite tired people.
Yeah.
But they've got one all-new model they're going to introduce every single year, and that will be augmented with specials like this Vanquish Zagato, which they make 500, all sold out before you even see them.
We missed the DB11 zooming past in its latest iteration with the V8 engine, courtesy of Mercedes-Benz.
The lovely thing about that is that, one, it's lighter in the nose, so it gives the car more agility. But also they've retained, the AMG engine makes a great engine note on its own, but Aston didn't want to just take that. They've put their own tuning to it, so it really sounds different to the AMG, which is terrific.
Now, you guys at Autocar raved over the GT3 Porsche.
Yeah. Well, I think most people would think that if you just had to name the best sports car series on the planet, the best production sports car ever made, the 911 would be probably in the top one. And the latest GT3 is just the latest, greatest 911 to wear a number plate. It's just a fabulous car to drive. It's 4-litre naturally aspirated engine, revs to 9,000 RPM, no turbochargers for the GT3. It just revs and revs and revs to give it power, and it's just utterly wonderful.
Just finishing its run, the Elemental RP1, brave venture. Okay. Huracan, the V10 version of the Lamborghini. This is the Performante version.
Cuts the corner close at Morecambe, doesn't it? Yeah, this is the fastest production car around the Nordschleife, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, faster than even Porsche's 918 Spider. So doesn't have hybrid power, doesn't have anything else, just has loads of clever aero and a lot less weight. This
is an interesting car. This is Am I right, the Lexus?
It's the LFA, yes, yeah. From a few years ago, actually a couple of years ago, but it was just a lovely, it's great to see it again. It's a lovely car. Cost about 330 grand, I think, when it was new. Has a fabulous V10 engine that was found nowhere else, just made for this car, and it's just beautifully built.
I think
just put together wonderfully.
3 were imported into this country, I think.
Yeah, there's not many around. Followed by the NSX, which is Honda's latest take on the NSX Supercar, driven by, we think, by Matt Neal at the moment, which is going up. And it's, again, this car has hybrid power, has a mid-mounted V6 engine augmented by electric motors, 2 on the front, 1 attached to the motor, so it can torque vector as well. It can put power where it wants to. So Matt Neal was saying earlier, you know, he's watching everybody else smoke up the tyres. He can't quite do that in this because it just takes off in a straight line.
Here's brute power, the Mercedes.
Yeah, the SLS Black Series. AMG's 50th anniversary we're celebrating this weekend, aren't we? And the SLS, one of its road car highlights, no question.
Black Series painted white. Here's the AMG GTR. This is the road-going version of the race GT4 race car.
Indeed, yeah. Very, very fast, very, very quick. Makes a terrific noise, and it's one of those cars that really impresses you with the noise, with the view out through the bonnet, and then you get out there, check the stopwatch, and you go, blimey, that is a seriously quick car as well.
This is seriously quick, but 4 doors comfort.
Yeah, 4 doors comfort, 4-wheel drive. I mean, you know, it's your. If you've said to somebody, right, you've got to have one car. Only one car that will do for the rest of your life. There's something like this comes at the top of the shortlist, doesn't it? You know, even it's got space, it's got room, it's also got 600 horsepower.
Big. Is it a big V8 or a small V8?
It's a 4-litre twin-turbo V8. So,
yes.
But the nice thing about AMG is they've adopted turbocharging, as so many manufacturers have had to, but they've still made it sound terrific. So in a car like the GT Roadster, which you've just seen going up, here is the last, mind you, just appearing on the screen, the C63 Black Series, one of the last of their naturally aspirated V8s. Makes a terrific noise, murders its tyres very, very quickly.
In a way, it's a shame that the big booming V8s are disappearing, but smoke is appearing.
Smoke is appearing out the back of the C63. It's just, this Black Series was a really good fun car to drive, really sideways, but really focused, makes a terrific noise. Brakes stand up to things well. You can get through a set of tyres if you want to in about 3 or 4 laps if you try hard.
Yeah. We're celebrating the half centenary of AMG this year. Hard to believe that they started 50 years ago as a private company, and then a few years ago got absorbed into the Mercedes-Benz group.
Yeah, very amiably, I think. You know, They had a good relationship for a long time, and eventually Mercedes said, "Look, you know, why don't we just officially do this?"
Yeah.
And since then, they've gone from absolute strength to strength. The lovely thing about it is the core character of those AMGs remains, but they're just able to make more of them and do more stuff with them.
Going past us into Moldcombe, we'll see it on the screen in a minute. The latest, there it is, the latest iteration of the current Bentley Continental, the Super Sport.
Was going to be driven by Derek Bell, but he would have had to go from that Ferrari parade very quickly to get into this, so I suspect it might not be. But it's the Super Sports, which is the latest 700 horsepower version of this Continental. The new Continental will arrive probably before this time next year, but this as a way to go out for the last Continental. What a machine.
If it's a tall driver, it could well be Ash Mason, who looks after Bentley classic cars and is a great hill climb competitor. Who could forget Justin Law last year in the Rolls-Royce, the Rolls-Royce for the sportsman.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, sport's a word that Rolls-Royce would sort of hesitate to use, but certainly in terms of dynamism, this black badge is as dynamic as they will allow their cars to get, and it's really quick. It's a heavy car, it's nearly 2.5 tons, but Justin Law throws it around, well, like it weighs half of that.
If you ask Rolls how much power it's got, they'll say it's got enough.
Yeah.
The beautiful E-Type Eagle, E-Type lightweight, low drag E-Type's gone past.
Going very, very quickly. Shame there's not a watch on this, isn't it?
Now this is P1.
Yeah.
Who can forget Kenny Breck last year? 46 seconds up the hill in the P1.
He was driving it this morning, actually. I can't see inside now to see whether he's in it this afternoon, but it is really moving on, isn't it?
It is. Not Kenny Breck. Kenny Breck, Swedish ex-Indy driver.
The P1 was Mclaren's hypercar. Then they made the P1 GTR, so they took out all of the stuff that allowed it to go on the road. It became 50 kilos lighter and got a lot more powerful.
I wish.
But then Lanzante took the P1 GTR, made the LM, so put some of the road car stuff back in. So it is the most extreme focused Mclaren road car there has been since, well,
in a way, I wish McLaren had allowed the P1 to be timed with Kenny driving
good,
it. It would. But Ollie Webb is probably glad it wasn't.
I'm sure. I would also like to see a stopwatch on this. This is the 720S, McLaren's supercar from their Super Series. It's a replacement for the 650S. It's their sort of staple supercar Ferrari 488 competitor, I think.
With the carbon fibre tub right up to the roof.
Now right over the
really rigid.
Yeah, really rigid, incredibly rigid. We'll give them. I wonder what they'll do for the Spider actually, because there will be a Spider version. But yeah, so that top will have to. We'll have to lose some of that. It has doors that hinge on that roof as well, so the Spider will be very, very interesting.
And McLaren are investing in a facility in Sheffield to produce their carbon fibre tubs, which is a credit. I asked them yesterday why Sheffield. They said, well, because of the quality of the people up there.
That is a good and great endorsement, isn't it?
It really is.
Here is that P1 GTR, as I mentioned. They take the P1 hypercar. All of the things that would make it road legal, take them out, make it a track special, sell about 30 of them to existing P1 customers. Even faster, even more focused. What a terrific thing.
Unique. This is the unique swept-tail Rolls-Royce based on the Phantom 7 chassis. It's a one-off commission by one of Rolls-Royce's clients who said, I want to cooperate with you, collaborate with me in designing the ultimate Rolls-Royce. But as you said, Matt, yesterday, it has to comply with regulations.
That's right, yeah. It's road registered in Guernsey, we think, isn't it? And
it is.
But yeah, the owner wants to drive it within Europe, so it still has, you know, the airbags have to go off as they should do. It still has to pass an MOT when the time comes. So yeah, so there's a limit to what they could do, but they've done a lot, and it's exquisitely finished, beautifully put together. Unsurprisingly, not timed this afternoon.
And unsurprisingly, not cheap.
No, exactly.
We won't talk about money.
No, I don't. I mean, apparently they just had an agreement at the start. Look, we'll tell you how much it cost when we finish it. If we put a price on it now, that will limit what we can do. So yeah, there must be somebody they know very, very well, that we don't know who it is.
I'm so glad that the new Panamera is an elegant car.
Yeah, it is. It didn't stop the old one selling in large numbers, just like the first generation KN, if you like. But yeah, the latest Panamera and the latest KN too, actually, much better looking than their predecessors, as well as this hatch going up the hill, which is the Turbo E Hybrid. There will also be the Sport Turismo around as well, which is a Panamera with a bit more luggage space.
Infinity?
Lexus. Yes, the LC500. Good fun.
Oh,
really good fun.
It is.
Yeah. Banging into its rev limiter a few times there. It's got a naturally aspirated 5-litre V8 underneath it.
On the limiter.
On the limiter again.
Yep. Jaguar.
Yeah, a couple of fast Jaguars on the hill. This is the second one, it's the XJR.
Take a comfy limousine and make it go.
Yeah,
it certainly does go.
It does, yeah. I probably no more entertaining large luxury car to drive than an XJR, I would say.
Supercharged 5.7-litre V8.
Yeah.
And the latest from Jaguar Land Rover is just heading towards the Flint Wall. This is the Velar, which is such an elegant car, and go on the JLR stand and have a look inside. The interior is just exquisite, and it straddles between the Evoque and the Range Rover, so it's finding a particular niche in the market, and I reckon it'll sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, Range Rover's most dynamic car they've ever made. They say the best car to drive on the road, and if you can see it go through the first corner here, it lifts its front inside wheel like a Lotus Cortina or something. It's just sensational to watch, really cool to watch.
But like all Range Rovers, it's going to be pretty good off-road as well.
Oh, indeed, yeah.
Brand new Vauxhall Insignia. This is the estate version, and we're agreed up here that the new Insignia is a very elegant car.
Yeah, handsome car, lots of room inside. It's a big car, it's a long car, and good value. And the sort of mainstream manufacturers like Vauxhall, who don't perhaps have a premium badge like Audi or BMW, they've been given a hard time of things in the last few years because people have been moving into SUVs or compact executive cars instead. Vauxhall's answer to that is to give a car that A, looks pretty good actually, I think, and B, has a lot of space inside it for the money. So I think yeah, should be a formula that gets them back on track.
And talking SUVs, here's the new Alfa Stelvio, announced in the UK anyway this week. It really, they have achieved elegance. People accuse me of being an Alfa male because I've had lots of them. I love Alfa Romeos. And I'm not a huge fan of SUVs, but I'm a great fan of the Stelvio.
Yeah, if anybody's going to make a handsome SUV, you'd bet that Alfa can probably do it. Now, difficult to do, like you say, because there's such a vast body area, isn't there? There's such a height to it, but they've made it look dynamic.
Our hearts went our mouths when this little Alpine went into Morecambe. We thought, will he make it, will he? And he did, which is really a testament to the road holding of this little Alpine.
Yeah,
You're in love with this car.
Oh, it's the most exciting sports car of the year for me, because it only weighs 1080 kilos. 250 horsepower. And when you see it here alongside other stuff, do go and see it alongside other cars to see how compact it looks.
Here's Maserati's version. This is the Levante. It's interesting that the Fiat Group have produced two SUVs in competition with each other in a way. But our theme is game changers, and this is changing the game from the point of view of hot hatches.
So quick.
Henry has been driving the Civic R, and it's they've achieved the trick of making a car that is quicker but is actually more comfortable.
Exactly, yeah. They've put adaptive dampers on it that have a softer mode, but it is still even faster than the old one. And the old one was fast. It's one of the most powerful front-wheel drive cars around, 320 horsepower, all going through the front wheels. But unlike some hot hatchbacks, they've decided against four-wheel drive, just stick with the lightness of two-wheel drive and make it work, and by gum they have.
And I caught a glimpse behind the R of the hydrogen-powered Honda, but away from hydrogen to pure electric, you won't be able to buy one of these. Sadly, it's the Zoe concept car, which is frighteningly quick.
Yeah, it's a shame you can't buy one, isn't it?
It is.
Same battery pack as the regular Zoe, they say, but that's all that is the same. It has a drivetrain from Renault, developed from their Formula E program, so it makes 420 horsepower. Making one is not high on their priorities list for production, but very, very good fun, I would think.
I think the Zoe concludes. We may have more to come. We just missed the new Mini Countryman Hybrid. Yes, that's the end of our Supercar Shootout and our first glance at the first glance cars.